Good afternoon, everyone. One resolution that I've noticed a lot of people have come New Year's time is getting healthier and losing weight. One way to do this is to actually just build a garden yourself. When building a garden yourself, you are not only getting healthier in what you eat, you are doing it from a healthier standpoint if you think about it, because when you pick up vegetables from the grocery store, you don't really know what pesticides and chemicals have been sprayed on these vegetables. When you build a garden yourself and grow it in your own home, you know exactly what is going into those vegetables. Gardening has always been one of my favorite things to do. Ever since I was a kid, I was always around my mother when she was putting together a garden. I remember helping her a lot, going through and eating the vegetables, of course. So last year was my first venture on a garden for myself. I ended up having to do a raised garden because the yard where I live floods a lot, and that's one factor you have to take into consideration when building a garden, is what vegetables need more water or what vegetables can become waterlogged, which means it has too much water and it'll kill the plant. The first step to the garden process is you have to start in the middle of winter. You have to figure out which vegetables you like to grow. Next is you have to do a little bit of research if you're not completely familiar with the items that you would like to grow. Each vegetable has a different startup. There's some vegetables such as peppers or corn or little smaller plants that you can start from seed that don't need a lot of time to grow. Or there's other plants that need a little bit more time, such as broccoli or tomatoes, that it is a little bit easier to start from the plant that you buy from the store. Because if you would like to start from seed, you need to start them in the middle of winter in your home. They actually need to be transplanted into your garden. Next, you need to decide where you're going to put it. If you run into a problem such as you will need to get a raised bed instead of doing it in the ground. Like I said earlier, a lot of plants can become waterlogged. They don't need a constant supply of water. But if you run into that problem where you can't do a raised bed, you can actually mix in, there's different items that you can use that are called aerators, such as mulch. You can mix it into the soil and it'll lessen the amount of moisture throughout the soil because it's not so compact. Next, you need to decide how you want to put your soil together. I like to use the Miracle-Gro potting soil. It has a lot of different vitamins and nutrients that the soil and plants need. Along with that, I like to use just the regular basic fill potting soil that you can buy from any hardware store or garden center. But I also like to mix in manure. I know it sounds a little off the wall, but it has a lot more of the vitamins and nutrients that the plants need that the potting soil won't carry. Mainly due to the animal that you get the manure from eating the plants that they do. Next, you'll have the construction. Whether you are building on the land or a raised garden, you'll need to either till up your bed in the grass that you have chosen, or you'll need to put together your garden and mix your soil. If you till up the piece of land that you would like to plant your soil, you'll need to also, it's easiest to spread the soil additives on the land where you're tilling up, and then till it up that way all the additives are getting mixed in. After you're done with that part, all your soil's mixed together, all your nutrients are in the soil that you wish. Next is transplanting or planting your seeds. Each different vegetable has to have a certain amount of space between them. We'll take green beans, for instance. They have to have about 6 inches in between each plant. That's about standard size for a lot of the plants. A lot of the smaller plants, such as the green peppers or the mild peppers, But when you're getting into the bigger plants, such as the corn or the broccoli or tomatoes, you'll need about a foot to 18 inches apart, because those plants grow a lot more than the smaller plants, so they'll need more room to maneuver, as you could put it. Once all that's done, it's mainly just the maintenance after that. You'll need to obviously water the plants every day. One thing that I do is once a week, usually on Sundays, that way I can start the week, it's just the normal cycle. I'll take the Miracle-Gro, the green powder, the Garden Life one, and I will mix a cup of that into each bucket full of water. Sorry, I forgot the word. I'll mix it into each bucket full of the water. That way the plants will get the extra nutrients that they need to sustain life while they're growing. One thing to remember, though, is if you have an especially hot day, I would say either 80 or 90 above, depending on the humidity, you'll need to water them twice a day. That way they have enough of the water to keep growing, because if they don't, they will start to wilt or they will die off. The upkeep of each of your plants and your garden is necessary. This means cutting off or trimming off the old dead parts of the plants, because they will continue to rot down into the main plant, or pulling the weeds out of the bed where you have all the plants. If you don't pull your weeds out, then they can actually overtake the root system of the plant that you're growing. All of this, it does take a little bit of work. It may seem like a lot more work to normal people, but it is well worth it, and it is a way healthier way to get your vitamins and nutrients that you need to live.